Then our next speaker is Gergely Hartmann. Please, Gergely, take your place. I will briefly introduce you. Gergely is an architect, researcher, and assistant professor at the University of Győr. His doctoral research topic is the history of Győr Design Company, which I think is very important because I myself think you need like a navigation through these different design companies, also in Czechia, and the same is in Hungary. Most recently, he published the architecture guide of SALGÓTARJÁN, the city Gergely will be referring to, and with that I will give the word to Gergely.
Okay, thank you very much for the introduction. Welcome everybody, thank you for being here. And contrary to what is listed in the program, I will be not to speak about Győr, but about SALGÓTARJÁN. SALGÓTARJÁN's construction is like a continuing architectural novel, wrote Mihály Kubinski, a prominent Hungarian writer, in 1974. And indeed, if you are looking for a summary of the architecture, urbanism, and social vision of socialism in Hungary, there may be no better place to visit than SALGÓTARJÁN. Next, please. After 1948, Hungary's architecture followed also Soviet trends, and the forced heavy industrialization led to the creation of new industrial towns, including SALGÓTARJÁN. Next, please. And next, please. A new town was built, essentially from the nothing. The discovery of coal reserves in the 19th century led to the growth of factories, mines, and railways. However, no proper housing or community services were constructed. Modest urbanization began after 1980, but was halted by the Great Depression and then the Second World War. Next, please. In 1950, SALGÓTARJÁN became a regional center, and a new development plan was created for the town based on the principles of socialist realism urban planning principles. Next, please. Several community buildings were built, for example, the county hall. Next, please. The fire station, and also some housing estates. And here is the place of the main square. Next, please. And as we see, the former socialist realist buildings followed the more modest and medium-scale urban form, and the main square remained unfinished. But on the right, we see the State Department store. Next, please, which was finished. Next, please, and next, please. Symbolizing socialist prosperity in this very poor and miserable town. So this happened till 1960, and then, next please, architect György Jánosi, on his new hotel, featured a larger scale and a progressive modern design with raw concrete facades, symbolizing also the reconnection after the socialist realism era to Western architectural trends. The hotel also embodied a new ideal of freedom. The ground floor featured a popular restaurant, the rooftop had a sun terrace with outdoor showers, and there was also a rooftop cinema. Next, please. At the same time, on the right, György Strog, an architect also from Budapest, designed the town's cultural center, which housed a 60-seat auditorium, a library, a gallery, and a tourist office. Next, please. Next, please. This is the interior, still intact today. And the variety of programs was really remarkable. For example, in spring of 1974, the American jazz musician Rhoda Scott performed here, followed 1 month later by Devchata, a Soviet female beat band. Next, please. The hotel is vacant on the left today due to the mismanagement of post-communist privatization, while the cultural center remains operational, is in good condition, and is a protected monument. Next, please. After the construction of these two defining buildings, the town center underwent a radical transformation. From this point on, the town planning was led by Géza Magyar, and he designed also the residential blocks surrounding the city center. The commerce also developed. Next, please. The Pécskő Shopping Center opened in 1968, designed by József Finta, and still serving as the town's main mall today. And this also reflects the lack of large-scale commercial investments in the recent decades. Next, please. Residents could buy the furniture for their new apartments at the country's largest furniture store at the time. Next, please. Education was also developed. This is the high school. This is the elementary school, and this is the music school, the main hall, the auditorium of the music school. The former ones were designed by Magyar Géza. This is designed by Percel Dénes, an architect based in Budapest. Yes, and the town had no churches at all. In Hungary, there were no churches at that time built. In such large-scale housing estates and new cities, and the town had also his own college, which is no longer operational today. On this place, on this spot, was also built a second center, developed and designed entirely by Géza Magyar. The cinema on the next slide was designed also by him, and also the museum. And this latter one, this is a protected monument. And the facade is no more raw concrete, but unglazed pyrogranite. This is a type of high-temperature fired ceramic. And on the next slide, the town hall was completed at the eve of the political changes in the background. So the city was finished. The Twin Towers, a part of this development, were built to attract young professionals with the promise of providing of housing, of flat. As a socialist utopian ideal, the apartments were only meant to serve as private retreats, with all other functions being communal. On the ground floor was a large restaurant, laundry, workshops, and other community spaces. However, the model never really functioned as intended, and today these two buildings are among the most socially problematic in the town, and the former symbols of progress have now become the symbol of problems. Next one, please. By the late 70s, the western half of the town was nearly completed, as we see here, but the eastern side, where the forest is, was empty. And ambitious plans on the next slide were made for the development for the eastern side. There were envisioned 3 22-story high-rise buildings on the next slide and on the next slide. It's really ambitious. Intended also as counterpoints or to the already completed towers from the west side. However, in the 80s, with the onset of economic recession, such large-scale developments were no longer possible. But on a smaller scale, this area was also transformed by 1990. But the buildings, as we see, are more elaborated with decorations and unmistakably echoed to delayed postmodern architectural forms, just forms, I think. On the following slides, we see beyond the center there are housing estate and leisure facilities. We do not have to time explore them, just I will show you some photos. Here are the main areas of the housing estates outside of the city center. On the next picture is the largest housing estate, notable for its structural variety also, as there was no nearby prefabrication housing factory in SALGÓTARJÁN, allowing the designers to use various methods of structures for construction. So in SALGÓTARJÁN there are no panel houses. This is the school, and these are also smaller developments. Here is an outdoor swimming pool remaining, once fed by the Tarján stream, an observatory. This is an educational center outside of the city in the forest. And there is a really interesting thing on the right top of the picture, half-finished stadium. You see there, set into the hillside, like a Greek amphitheater, never finished. I haven't shown you the industrial buildings, which was the basement or the basis of the city development, which once made a significant part of the town. They no longer operate, and the most architecturally interesting ones even have been demolished. Please, the next 3 slides. These are the former industrial areas, and this is just for the... these are closed. For example, the glass factory was really famous in SALGÓTARJÁN. So this socialist economy based on the heavy industry ultimately collapsed with the political changes, and the resulting deficit hasn't been filled yet. We published this book on the next slide also, and it was really surprising that it became particularly popular among the locals. Perhaps they were the most surprised to realize that the architectural environment in which they live is of national and I think even on international interest. Okay, I understood. Just 1 minute, not more. Since 1990, the city has been in a stage of stagnation. As a result, the architectural heritage remains almost intact. The town center enjoys protection, but this preservation is partly due to intentional heritage protection, but particularly concerning the residential and commercial buildings, it is also a result of lack of funds, of money. While the town values its architectural heritage, some of the residents seek for a more colorful environment. A recent example highlights this. One building, this one, rented out his ground floor spaces, achieving financial stability, which is a rare thing there. To reflect this prosperity, they wanted to paint the dual grey facade blue. Please back. The matter caused an uproar in official circles, and even the now more than 90-year-old original designer Géza Magyar hurried to the city in September, for a few weeks ago, on this occasion, and the town chief architect didn't allow the blue color. The facade was painted back to its original grey. How satisfied the local community is with this solution remains an open question. Next, please. So this small local tension reflects also the broader unspoken desire for a new vision for the city. While no new utopia has replaced the socialist dream for over 30 years, the sense of loss among the residents is entirely valid and understandable. Could we hope that SALGÓTARJÁN finds an economic engine for growth? What's more, alongside the well-considered high-quality urban renewal that also achieved a residence agreement, we don't know it. However, it remains uncertain whether a golden age will ever return like that in the 70s. And please, the final question. Thank you very much.